Having unequal forces in the maritime area, the Ukrainian army managed to push back the Russian fleet in the Black Sea and establish routes for grain exports. This is how the NATO Secretary General noted the successes of the Ukrainian army. Yale University historian Timothy Snyder also calls the operations of the Ukrainian armed forces in the temporarily occupied Crimea and the Black Sea a great naval victory.
The Ukrainian army carried out a series of successful attacks on military targets, on military infrastructure directly in the Sevastopol base, and also launched kamikaze drone strikes on the supports of the Kerch Bridge. The enemy was forced to transform its activities. In fact, there are currently no Russian ships in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. They have moved all their ships closer to the port of Novorossiysk, and there they are on combat duty.
The sinking of the cruiser Moskva is one of the first naval victories for the Ukrainian side and a defeat for the Russian side. In April 2022, a precise strike from a Ukrainian Neptune missile damaged the flagship of the Federation's Black Sea Fleet, which in fact represented a military base afloat.
The enemy was driven back on land from Mykolaiv and Kherson, and by the actions of the Ukrainian Navy using anti-ship missiles, first our own, then our partners against the enemy. You must understand that anti-ship cruise missiles are like miniature nuclear weapons at sea, a means of deterrence. If you don't have anti-ship missiles, you are defenseless. If you have anti-ship missiles for your defense, then it is better not to attack you.
The liberation of Snake Island, attacks on the Kerch Bridge, the headquarters of the Russian occupiers in Crimea and other operations, the successes of the Ukrainian defenders and the work of resistance forces in the temporarily occupied territories forced the Russian fleet to move away from the coastline.
The Ukrainian army, not having warships, managed to drive the Russian Black Sea Fleet into the corners, where it is now located. And this whole process absolutely clearly contributes not only to the restoration of a relatively safe space in the Black Sea, but also allows for the implementation of the so-called Grain Initiative. After all, Ukraine practically independently, without the support of a third party, ensures the safety of the movement of maritime merchant vessels, both to the base of Ukraine and in the opposite direction.
An army of naval drones helped Ukraine ensure the security of the grain corridor and continue supplying food to countries in need. On November 1st, 2022, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced a fundraiser for the initiative on the United 24 fundraising platform. By the evening of the same day, money was raised for the first drone with the symbolic name Kherson. In less than a week, they managed to accumulate funds for 25 sea drones. A unique initiative allows them to strike enemy targets at long distances.
Inflicting strikes by our forces and means on enemy bases on the Crimean Peninsula forced the enemy to disperse its forces and means. Only defeat, strikes on Sevastopol, on warehouses, on headquarters, on factories almost 2 years later, after a year and a half of the war, made the Russians understand that they are not just bosses and pirates in the Black Sea, but that there is a war going on, and they are prey just like hunters.
The successful work of Ukrainian defenders along the coastline and sea waters disrupted the plans of the Russian landing force in the south of the country and secured the Odessa and Mykolaiv regions from occupation. And the brilliant work of the armed forces of Ukraine on the headquarters of the occupiers in Crimea and Russian ships in the Black Sea is bringing the deoccupation of the peninsula closer, experts assure. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Larissa Zubenko, UATV News.